Drew here, 1995 Batman podcast. Batman and Robin stars reflect on the chaos of filming and realizing people hated the film. Quote, heartbroken. This comes to you from Entertainment Weekly by Patrick Gomez. It says, Alicia Silverstone and Chris O'Donnell reflect on their friendship, leaning on each other while playing Batgirl and Robin, and the camp legacy of their 1997 superhero movie. I've already read through this once, and it was really interesting to hear them reflect on what it was like to pretty much get the news that the movie was bad and how that affected them. I've heard other articles or clips of these two actors reflecting on the movie. That's pretty much nothing new, but this is especially interesting to me because enough time has passed to the point where the people that were involved with Batman and Robin can really just speak freely on what it was like and how difficult it was for them to know that the movie was a disaster. And that's something you don't hear often from actors and producers and whatnot. Certainly when the movie premieres, you don't want to do that because it's bad press, right? Warner Brothers will get upset. But anyway, let's press on. Boy, this is slow. Goddamn ads. Chris O'Donnell says Alicia Silverstone is the best, and the Batgirl actress regards George Clooney as a dream to work with, but 1997's Batman and Robin didn't always feel like flying high. O'Donnell has fond memories of first working with Silverstone on a photo shoot for GQ's June '95 issue. So that would have been the same month Batman Forever premiered. Quote, this is O'Donnell saying, she hadn't really broken yet, and we had a weekend with the whole team. The 911 Nashville star tells Entertainment Weekly of shooting with Silverstone just months before the Crush and Aerosmith music video star would skyrocket to superstardom as Cher Horowitz in Clueless. So it sounds like Batgirl starred in Crush and a Aerosmith music video. I have not seen that video. O'Donnell says, the photographers went down to the desert or something, and she was so young, but she was really fun and good energy, and I really liked her. It was a small world that years later we ended up being in Batman and Robin together. I kind of get a kick out of reading that in O'Donnell's voice. Silverstone was cast as Batgirl alongside Clooney as well as O'Donnell, who appeared in 1995's Batman Forever with Val Kilmer as the Dark Knight. Silverstone leaned on her co-stars to help her over the swift learning curve on her first action film. I remember a lot of things not making sense, she says, of filming Batman and Robin. We would be in a big warehouse and there were so many extras and so much going on. George really was like a big brother in those circumstances. So cool. He stood up for me and was reasonable when things were not. And to get the outfit on took so much time and energy, the Irish blood actress continues. And once you had it on, you couldn't go to the bathroom for ages. These were not easy costumes. You had to put baby powder all over your body to get it on. The whole thing was a big production. Then they had to actually shoot the scenes, though often they were working with only partial knowledge of what would eventually be established in the final version of the film by special effects. Silverstone says, I remember we finally got the things on and we're standing there on top of this platform in the warehouse. And I turned to Chris and George and I said, what do we do? And they're like, don't worry, you'll figure it out. I was like, what do you mean? And then I hear over a big bullhorn, throw the thing. And I said, Chris, throw what at what? He's like, don't worry about it. You're overthinking it. It's like, what do you mean? We don't even know what we're throwing because they added it all later. The cast navigated the chaos of filming only to enter a press tour that quickly turned sour as became clear the movie was not well received. All of a sudden you were starting to get the feedback and you realize it was just going sideways, O'Donnell says. There was so much hatred of the film when it came out. It was like, oh my god. And you want to do your job and promote the movie. I remember at one point, Joel Schumacher just threw up the flag. He's like, I'm out. I can't do it anymore. He was so heartbroken and kind of bummed out about it. Oh, poor Joel. Okay. O'Donnell admits it was a tough one for us to all to digest. It was a tough one for us all to digest, but feels we were lucky to be in the movie and it was a fun project to be part of it. It is what it is. Some work out and some don't. I agree. But both O'Donnell and Silverstone have felt the tide change over the years as fans continue to celebrate the film. I mean, just on a side note, I'm not one of them. I think the movie's okay, but I don't celebrate it. It's got stuff I like and stuff I don't like. Batgirl had a revival, Silverstone says excitedly about her role, which won her a Razzie Award for Worst Supporting Actress. I didn't know that. When it came out, I don't think people liked it very much. True. But later on, people told me it's their favorite movie. At least all my gay friends. It's very camp. You need to get a better favorite movie, buddy. So much so that the Music Academy of Motion Pictures screened Batman and Robin in July as part of its Summer of Camp series. A fact O'Donnell can't seem to believe. Me either. The Academy did what? Yes. Really? Yep. That seems so random. Were they trying to goof on George or what? I think the yes and the yep is like the author, but yeah. O'Donnell's like, the Academy did what? Really? That seems so random. That sounds like him. Despite his shock, O'Donnell acknowledges the film has its fans, including some who weren't even born when it hit theaters. I was going to say, well, we all missed the 90s, but these are people who weren't even born yet. My son, we just took him to college, and we moved him into his room, and I walked in, and he was wearing a Batman and Robin hat. I go, what are you doing? He's like, what? It's one of my favorite hats. I go, you're out of your mind. And he concludes with a laugh. And for all the heartbreak faced by the hatred, O'Donnell remains grateful for his time in those nipple-forward suits. The things I grew up playing with as a kid, I ended up doing in real life. He marvels. I still have the Batmobile toys from when I was a kid, and I went as a fireman for Halloween. He plays a fireman in the new 911 Nashville series, so that's what he's referring to. O'Donnell recalls, alluding to his new ABC first responder drama. I did all that stuff, and the fact that I'm 55 years old and I'm still doing this stuff is just a joke to me, but it's what I do, and I love it. I'm very fortunate, and I hope to keep doing it for a long time. Oh, I hope you do it for a long time too, Chris. Like, I will love you forever for playing Robin. Yeah, I hope, like, decades from now, Chris still does movies, because, you know, I mean, he was in Batman Forever, and he's, like, the only lead actor to be in both the movies. It would have been him and Val Kilmer in the second one, but Val left, and so it was just Chris O'Donnell that kept the DNA from the previous film, of course. As far as lead actors go, he was the only one. Let's just look at some comments really quick. Movie was still a hit, and I liked it. $. I wish Joel hadn't replaced Wayans with O'Donnell for Robin. Wayans? Is that the black guy that was going to play Rob? I don't know. Sassy Rodman would have made the movies much more fun. Well, O'Donnell brought plenty of sass. Trust me. Just look at that scene in the Batcave when he's like, I need a name. Batboy, Nightwing, you know. And then James replying to CS, I'm black and glad Robin stayed white. Yeah. All right. Chris Wyans. Yeah, that's the black guy. Some characters should not be changed. Loved Chris for that part. Yeah, Black Robin wouldn't be as faithful to the comic. Everything we know about Robin, Burt Ward, you know, the comic books, Robin's white, so there you go. Daniel, when the director doesn't understand the material, it is obvious. Schumacher was just not into it, and it showed. Nipplegate without Janet Jackson. Oh, okay. You can tell this guy's a big fan of these movies. You know, he's blaming Schumacher. And funny enough, Michael Uslan at the Comic-Con panel last month said Joel gets too much damn flack for these movies. And Daniel, you're contributing to that, so I hope you're happy. Reg replying to Daniel, "Yup, I've always said this about this film, and honestly the one prior. It was not the cast's fault at all. It was all on Schumacher." Bullshit. He says it was all on Schumacher for his ridiculous over-the-top shift in tone. Even if he wanted to go in a campier direction, you don't make it so juvenile. I don't know what's juvenile about these movies, honestly. Can anyone help me out here? Why is he saying it's juvenile campy? Batman and Robin is campy for sure, and forever to a certain extent. But no, juvenile's never been a word that I associate with these films. I've seen Batman Forever and Robin hundreds of times. And that, I don't think that applies here. A big part of what made the first two Batman films was their darker tone than the Superman films. Darker doesn't necessarily make a movie better. It's how entertaining a movie is and what you get from the story and how faithful it is to the characters that we know, or if they go in a different direction with the characters and it's well done. In the case of Danny DeVito as Penguin, that was a completely new take on Penguin, but it was well done enough to where it was believable and menacing, and he fit within the world. So it's this word. I have problems with this word, and it's overused. Darker, darker, darker. It's like with the Schumacher cut. Yeah, it's a darker movie. It's got a different tone than the one we got, but darker doesn't make it better. And then Reg says, when Schumacher took over, he dropped the darkness altogether. That's not Joel's fault. That's what the studio wanted. And by the way, for the record, I don't know who the studio is exactly, but that's kind of how it goes. Like, studio infers like the board that makes the decision about what direction a sequel should take, right? And they stay anonymous the whole time. I don't know, to this day, like, people who work in a studio and make these decisions, they tend to remain anonymous, you know, because we don't know who the studio is for Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. That's undisclosed information. So Schumacher is not to blame for dropping the darkness altogether. Forever and Robin both have their dark moments, by the way, and I can prove it. You need to listen to our commentary tracks to, get that information if you want me to prove it. But it's all there. Go listen to them if you want. And then he says the target audience. He's saying Schumacher took over and dropped the darkness. And the target audience is what he's saying. Oh. So he's saying the target audience for the Burton films was dropped during the transition to the Schumacher and Robin films. From PG-13 to basically G with innuendo. Whatever, fair enough. G with innuendo, that kind of applies to Batman and Robin because, Poison Ivy says things like, I'll help you grab your rocks, and how about slippery when wet, and all that shit. So, yeah. Okay, when Schumacher took over, yeah, there was an obvious change, but that's not on him. Michael Uslan himself said in the Comic-Con interview, the panel, that Joel did what the studio wanted. So there you go. Let's move on to something else. John's replying to the Reg comment. He was trying to make a live action version of the TV show, which he grew up on. Yeah, I guess so. After toy sales dropped substantially after Batman Returns was so weird, and parents complained, reviews weren't great. The mandate was to go less dark. True. I don't think Batman Returns is a good movie, but it's it's competent, and it's a Tim Burton film starring Batman. Another quote from Michael Uslan. Which with the mandate was to go less dark, which got you Batman Forever, which sold a lot of toys and did better box office than Returns. He was then given full reign to do what he wanted on BNR, which was to make a live action version of the TV show and camp it up. Yeah, okay, Joel directed Batman and Robin, but like, okay, have you seen that documentary from 2005 that was included on the DVD? It's on YouTube if you want to watch it. Joel wanted to do Batman Year One, okay? Instead, he was given the script to Batman Forever, and made the Schumacher cut. And then the Schumacher cut was changed, had scenes removed, and comedy sound effects added, which is what the theatrical cut ended up being. But the movie he delivered, the Schumacher cut, has the opening at Arkham Asylum. It has the scene with the giant bat. It has Bruce with more grieving than he does in the final film. Yeah. The scene with the red diary. So I'm saying that that documentary, which is on YouTube, the one about Batman Forever, it shows what Joel wanted to do, right? He made Batman Forever, and I guess studio mandate was to change that movie, and then they asked for Batman and Robin, an even campier version of Batman Forever. Okay, so this highlighted comment that I'm seeing is false. Joel made the movie that other people wanted. Okay, he wasn't given full reign. Full reign, Schumacher, Batman, no. Tony, it killed the franchise for 8 years until Nolan came up with better. Heard that before. I remember when this movie came out, the tabloids referred to Alicia Silverstone as fat girl. The 90s were crazy. That's terrible. This article brought back many memories of my younger days. This is one of my absolute favorite movies, despite any criticisms. Always will love it. And that's sincere. He has a couple of downvotes, but well, I guess I need an account to upvote this. Yeah, this comment from Ralph is sincere, and go ahead. It's okay to like bad movies. And then Chappie, I think it's a cop-out to say this movie was a flop because people wanted a more serious portrayal. This movie wasn't a flop. Flop means, like, it didn't do good numbers. Batman and Robin did good numbers. People wanted a more serious portrayal, and yeah, that's true, but, we got a serious portrayal in Batman Returns, and yeah, like, what a disaster. And yeah, I think Forever, the theatrical version anyway, went too far in the other direction. I think the sequels to Batman 89 never got the tone right. It was either too far in the dark direction or too far in the campy direction. Tone-wise, I think the first movie is the best. I think people would have been okay with a well-done, fun, lighter version, but this just wasn't well done. I agree. There was too much crammed in. A lot of it was bad. Or he's saying all of it was bad. Well, not quite. Too flashy and too garish. The costumes looked cheap. Yeah, I guess so. It's partly to do with the way the movie is overlit. Lighting has a lot to do with the how the costumes look. And there's that scene when Batman and Robin are on stage while the guy's bid on the diamond. And yeah, it's way too well lit. It shows a lot of the flaws in the costume. Poison Ivy was written like Catwoman from Returns, just like a Two-Face was written like the Joker. I don't know if I agree with that. That could be its own podcast. And sorry, Alicia Silverstone, but Batgirl was an unnecessary addition. I'm kind of... I think I agree with this, actually. I would have taken out... There are too many characters in Batman and Robin. And, Robin was kind of light on screen time in Batman Forever, and so I wish he would have got more screen time in the follow-up. Batman Forever is all set up for Robin with a couple of scenes that are... Robin has that scene with Alfred where he's like, throw this away, Alfred, I won't be needing this. Oh, I think I'll just put it in here. Broken wings mend in time. That's one of the only scenes in Forever that gives us time with Robin. And the sequel, Batman and Robin, it needs to have more Batman and Robin, is what I'm saying. And so I think to have it be a movie with Batman, Robin, and Batgirl, but Batgirl's name doesn't appear in the title, that's, I just wish... I'm all right with that. I probably would have taken out Batgirl. John, sure, Batman Forever was lighter and did much better than Batman Returns, even though it had its problems. There was a market for a lighter Batman. Yeah. Charlie, I was alive when this movie came out. Oh, congratulations. I loved it, and then I love it now. I loved it then, and I love it now. It's the best live-action Saturday morning cartoon. It's fun, and I hate the new dark and grounded retellings. Superheroes are comics, literally cartoons on paper. So all these dark and gritty interpretations in superhero movies lack the fun of the comics for me. Fair enough. I don't read comic books. I'm just a film guy, so I can't really comment on this. Batman has been a serious character in the comic for 50 years. I don't read comics. This is my favorite Batman movie. No questions, no comments. Thank you. That's fine. I was all geared up to like it, and I was a big Arnold fan, and I liked Batman Forever well enough. Was a huge Batman comics fan, but this was a no-go. I tried it again, and it was still bad. I've never been into watching bad movies to mock them for how bad they are, so that part I am missing out on. But to think it's good, hard to believe. I agree. I think Batman Forever is bad to okay. I kind of go back and forth between those two. But yeah, I also don't. I don't think the movie's good. So. All right, last comment. John, it was a poorly made movie and the fans wanted a serious take on the character. I don't think so, to quote Edward Nigma. Poorly made, yes. It was a rushed production, Batman and Robin. The fans, I don't know if that's really true. Fans of today, sure. But there's plenty of serious takes on Batman on film. That's the status quo now. It's been like that for 20 years because, Batman Begins was 20 years ago now. So I'd say 20 years and then some, we've had a serious take on Batman. I don't know if the fans per se at the time wanted this. Like, how can he make that assumption? He didn't hear from fans at the times. I just don't think there's any way this guy could know what the fans at the time wanted. But anyway, it was essentially an attempt to make a modern version of the TV shows at the time the diehard fans had rejected. Now they like it. I don't think so. Diehard fans if diehard fans rejected Batman and Robin, I don't think they like it now. Okay? That's not going to change. I don't see that happening. Clooney was not good. He was basically playing himself with no attempt to act any different than usual. Fact. I thought O'Donnell and Silverstone did a good job, but the material just wasn't good. Fair enough. I think the script to Batman and Robin is poor. So that's going to do it for this podcast. It was nice to hear from O'Donnell and Silverstone again. And I'm kind of heartbroken to hear that Joel gave up on promoting the movie, and the reviews were so bad at the time that he threw in the towel and felt responsible. To Joel and to Chris and to Silverstone, you guys have nothing to atone for. I think O'Donnell said it best. It is what it is. Some work out and some don't.